Alright, listen, I know. This may have taken me a little bit to release the video, but hear me out. It wasn't entirely my fault. I was waiting for the James Harden situation. Yeah, that's definitely it. In all seriousness, at the time this video is being recorded, we're a week or two into the NBA season, and the in-season tournament hasn't started yet, but by the time it's out, we may be a couple games in. I also now realized that I said mid-season tournament when it's actually the in-season tournament last time, so yeah, I'll be sure to get it right in this video. I just wanted to quickly thank you guys for all the support and the feedback in the first video. I'm glad you guys enjoyed this kind of content because it's actually the kind of content I enjoy recording, to be honest. Anyways, enough of me yapping. The Western Conference is incredibly deep and I cannot wait to talk about it. I'm Yousuf, and this is the NBA In-Season Tournament Review Western Conference Edition. Let's go. Bang!
6 topics.
People may be shocked by me saying this, but I see Group A as the least competitive group in the Western Conference. I mean, it might be because the Western Conference is stacked and they're the only group with the 2 lottery teams, but I'd say the standings are going to be pretty straightforward in my eyes. The Grizzlies are a team that I see really struggling in this tournament. I mean, the timing of this tournament is really tough considering Ja Morant won't be available for any of the group stage games due to his 25-game suspension. The Grizzlies are also dealing with a knee injury to Steven Adams, causing him to miss the entire season. So a mix of having a bunch of new players coming in and missing a bunch of key ones really won't help them. Their hope lies in Desmond Bane, as he's proven in the past that he can really score the ball well, especially with Ja out, and he's definitely showing that this season. Jaren Jackson Jr. will have to take on a heavier toll offensively, which will be interesting to see. They also have 2 new guards in Marcus Smart and Derrick Rose, who have specifically looked very good so far. The issue, however, they're in the same group as the Phoenix Suns. The Suns have now formed a new Big Three, shipping off their veteran point guard Chris Paul to obtain an absolute bucket in Bradley Beal. Everyone, including me, has been excited to see whether it's Beal or Booker playing the point, and preseason indications show that it's going to be Beal. Unfortunately, he's dealing with a back injury, so we have yet to see him suit up for a regular season game. However, one thing we know for sure, the Suns have some firepower, man. Defensively, you may have some questions, but damn, their offense is going to be good. I think a key factor in their progress this season will be how well Yousuf plays this season. Shipping off DeAndre Ayton seemed more like a get-out-of-the-situation type of deal. While Nurkic has shown that he can defend in the past, his defense has taken a huge decline, especially since his leg injury when he was in Portland. This is a team with a lot of injury-prone players, so it only makes sense that most of their offseason moves included depth. Eric Gordon, Grayson Allen, Yuta Watanabe, Keita Bates-Diop, Drew Eubanks, they made a ton of depth moves for some solid pieces that can help them win. Drew Eubanks looked better than Nurkic at times in the preseason. All I hope for is that the Phoenix Suns can stay healthy. I just want to see them ball, man. The Los Angeles Lakers will always be in the discussion for any type of silverware. They have some guy called LeBron James who apparently never ages. Darvin Ham has talked about a minutes restriction, but to be honest, I don't see that lasting long. This team is going to need LeBron if they want to do anything of value in this tournament. The health of Anthony Davis is always in question as well, and I hope for his sake this is finally the year he can stay relatively healthy. Like the Suns, they also had some really good moves in free agency. While so far things haven't been too smooth in the season, I think they'll figure it out soon. The Utah Jazz are doing an incredible job with their rebuild. The emergence of Lauri Markkanen, while unexpected, was obviously welcomed by Danny Ainge and co. I also thought they had a sneaky good draft with those 3 first-round picks. They got 2 players who I believe can impact the team right away in Keontae George and Taylor Hendricks, and a really good prospect in Bryce Sensabaugh. They also got John Collins for cheap, creating a solid front court with Markkanen and Kessler. Will it translate to wins though? I mean, they're in a tough group, so it's hard to see them making any noise, but I've seen crazier things happen. Overall, a really fun young team with draft capital and a bright future. With the Portland Trailblazers, they're entering a new era without their franchise icon Damian Lillard. This season is all about the emergence of their young core. Anthony Simons' injury isn't the best start to things, but he'll be looking to make some noise when he comes back. DeAndre Ayton has looked pretty good so far. It's going to be interesting to see how he pans out with this new scenario. He seems to have a new level of motivation. In my opinion, Scoot Henderson is the big key to the future of this franchise. He started off slow, but I think it's foolish to give up on such a young player this early, especially one of his talent. I like that they kept Malcolm Brogdon. He's going to be a great mentor for Scoot. The team overall won't make much noise in the tournament or in the standings, but that's par for the course of the rebuilding team. This group could go so many damn ways that it's really hard for me to say. I think the Lakers edge it out, Phoenix follows them, then Memphis without Ja Morant, then Utah, and last place is the Blazers. My reasoning for this is that I don't think LeBron James is going to let his team get bounced out of the group stage. At minimum, they're going to reach the next round of this tournament. I also see Phoenix as the other clear challenger, but it's really a toss-up in my opinion. Group B in the Western Conference is, in my opinion, the most competitive group in the entire in-season tournament. We start off with the Denver Nuggets, who are coming off their first NBA championship in franchise history and are looking to repeat as champions. One of the most overlooked losses in free agency this offseason was definitely Bruce Brown leaving for the Pacers. He was that player who was a complete dog, and you had to watch the games to understand his impact. The Nuggets are now looking for players like Christian Brown and Peyton Watson to step into that role, and they've looked really solid so far this season. At the end of the day though, they'll always be fine as long as they have one man. Nikola Jokic is the greatest player in the world, and last year he proved that not only he can put up unreal numbers, but he can also contribute to winning basketball. And he's paired up with the perfect player in Jamal Murray. This may be a hot take, but I think they're the best duo in the NBA, not because of talent, but because of fit. In fact, the entire team seems to be based off fit, and they're one of the best built teams in the entire NBA. But they've got some competition in this group, including the other Los Angeles team. The Clippers are all in. Kawhi seems to be healthy, Paul George is playing incredible, Russell Westbrook seems to be finding his stride. And then there's James Harden. The Clippers gave away some solid pieces in Batum and Covington to get him and PJ Tucker. This is their all-in move. My biggest worry is how talent-focused they are. They seem to be building this team completely opposite to what the Nuggets did. They're building this team based off talent instead of fit. James Harden is still an incredible guard, but the Clippers were playing some good basketball before he arrived. There's definitely going to be an adjusting period, and that very well may affect their chances in that tournament. The crazy thing about this tournament is that every single game means so much when it comes to the standings, so they really can't afford to lose too many of them. It's going to be interesting to watch them adjust, but the team this talented has to make it far. Right? The New Orleans Pelicans are trying to emulate what they were doing before Zion got injured last season. They were a 1 seed with all the momentum in a packed Western Conference, but Zion's injury completely derailed them to the point where they got bounced out of the play-in by the youngest team in the league. That's the key to success of this team. Zion's healthy, they can make some real noise and shock some people. Zion gets injured again, they're a play-in team at best. He's been playing very well and seems to be healthy entering this tournament, so I see them as a true dark horse. They've got a very complete starting five with some solid depth, going to be a team to look out for in my opinion. The same goes for the Dallas Mavericks, who I'll be honest, I wasn't very high on before the season, but after watching them for a couple games, they seem to be a very cohesive unit. It goes back to what I said about the Nuggets. They're a team built around fit, not talent. They've already got their two superstars in Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. Now it's about finding pieces that can help translate to some wins. I think Grant Williams is the perfect supporting piece, especially if he hits his threes at a consistent rate. I also love the draft pick of Derek Lively, a clear positional need. I'd like them to bolster their depth a little bit more, but I think they're here to shock a lot of people, especially after the disappointment of last year. The same goes for the Houston Rockets. Fun, young team who have a very bright future. I love the approach of getting some veteran presence around these young guys. Fred VanVleet, Dillon Brooks, and Jeff Green were all great uses for the cap space, even if the contracts seemed steep. Fred will bring a winning culture to the Rockets and has a really great mind for the game of basketball. Dillon Brooks is going to get a fresh start and he has looked really good so far in the preseason and the regular season. Don't think they make too much noise, but they could cause a couple upsets to shake up the standings. Keep an eye on them. Like I said, my predictions for this group keeps changing, but I think Denver's safe at number 1. I think Dallas comes in second and the Pelicans are right behind them. My hot take is the Clippers at 4 and then the Houston Rockets at 5. My reasoning for LA being so low is that their adjustment period with James Harden falls under the bulk of this tournament. It's a really stacked group though, so it's going to call for some fun basketball. Group C is another group that's a toss-up. Lots of questions with a lot of teams, starting with the Sacramento Kings. The biggest question being, was last year a fluke? They're one of the best offenses in basketball and were a pain in the ass to play every single night. Even the battle-tested Warriors went to 7 games with them, and it took a Steph Curry record-breaking night to beat them. One thing I find concerning, however, is the limited moves they made in the offseason. They traded for Chris Duarte because the Pacers wanted nothing to do with him anymore, and they got the EuroLeague MVP Sasha Vezenkov. Other than that, radio silence from the franchise. It's easy to get complacent with where they're at, and teams know what to expect from the Kings now. It's no longer just about having a fun season where they exceeded expectations. Now they have to start winning. I'm sure they'll be motivated by this tournament because it's a chance to prove that they're a winning basketball team. This is De'Aaron Fox's team now, and I expect him to embrace the leadership role. He did that against the Warriors, which wasn't enough. They're a team that has a lot of question marks around them themselves, namely CP3. What will he look like in a Dubs uniform? How are they going to use him alongside Steph, Klay, and Draymond? They've talked about running a lineup with Steph, CP, Klay, Wiggins, and Draymond, which quite literally sounds like the 2020 Houston Rockets. At the end of the day, as long as they have Steph Curry, they'll win games. And in a tournament where it's a single game scenario and not a series, I don't know how many people in the league I'd rather have than Steph. This just seems like a tournament he's going to flourish in. And in a group filled with relatively young teams who aren't really tested, the Warriors have a good chance at winning this thing. The only other relatively battle-tested team is the Timberwolves, who have played playoff basketball 2 years in a row, losing to the second-seeded Grizzlies and then the NBA champion Denver Nuggets. They're gonna hope that Anthony Edwards is as good as everyone says he's gonna be this season. They're already a team I was sort of confused about when it came to the offseason. They're literally going to the season with the exact same team. All hope isn't lost, however, because they've got a bunch of players who could see major improvements this year. Obviously Anthony Edwards, but look for a guy like Jaden McDaniels to take a jump this season as well. Even Rudy Gobert could impact this team with a whole lot more if he manages to find his way back to his old defensive self. Cat is back and healthy now as well, so that will help them a lot. And if they won the tournament, I guess you could say this is what movies is made of.
This is what movies is made of.
This is what movies
This is what movies is made of.
The Oklahoma City Thunder are a team that I've really been high on in the past. I said it on the podcast and I'll say it again. What Sam Presti has done with this team is what all rebuilding teams should look towards modeling. A couple years of tanking have gotten him a superstar in SGA, 2 maybe 3 potential all-stars in the future in Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams, and Josh Giddey, a defensive monster in Lou Dort, and the most picks in the entire NBA by a landslide. Not to mention they have solid depth as well. I loved the Cason Wallace pick for them, and I think he's going to be a stud. The question is whether or not they have the size to compete against some of these teams. Yes, against the Warriors that's a favorable matchup, but against a team like Minnesota who clearly have the size advantage, they really might struggle. They're really a fun young team that I'll be watching a lot of this season. Which leads to our final team of the video, the San Antonio the San Antonio Spurs. I mean, they might as well name the team after him by how much coverage he's getting. To be fair, it's for a good reason. Victor Wembanyama is the real deal, ladies and gentlemen. It took a little bit to get figured out, but if you want to truly understand how incredible he is, you have to watch it for yourself. I mean, he's making veterans of this league who have seen everything look like undrafted rookies who are going to be overseas playing for the Shanghai Sharks soon. They've got a nice young core building up as well with Keldon Johnson and Devin Vassell. The key to this season, Victor's development. I know I just made a joke about him getting all the coverage, but it's for a good reason. He is your present and he is your future. You run this team based on his development, and that's it. As for the tournament, I think they could cause a scare against a couple teams, but in reality, it's just too early for them. I had some fun deciding these standings because I see a lot of really good teams in it. I think the Warriors will top the group, then I'll go for the fun young Thunder. I think Sacramento gets 3rd, leaving Minnesota at 4th, and San Antonio at 5th. I think for me, this is the group that I'm going to be watching the most in this tournament. In my eyes, every single team in this group is a fun, young, exciting team to watch, especially as a fan of the sport. And some of the matchups are incredible. I mean, Chet versus Wemby? Sign me up. And there are my predictions for the Western Conference in-season tournament groups. However, that's not all that needs to be decided. Each 1 seed in the group obviously moves on to the next stage of the tournament, but also 2 wildcard teams. 1 from each conference get to move on as well. So who do I think will be in the wildcards? In the East, I think the safe pick is the Sixers, so that's who I'll go with. And in the West, I'll go for the shock. I think the fun Oklahoma City Thunder will get that other wildcard spot. Gonna be some fun basketball, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.